the gym. How can I help you?
Hi, I think my coffee machine is missing the place I'm supposed to put the pod in.
No, the pods, you take the pod and you slide it directly into the unit. There is no tray.
It's brewing. Okay, let's chat. I have to move things today. And it's kind of, it's, I would say it's bittersweet, but I don't even know if it is bittersweet just because it's kind of sad, even though I know it's what needs to happen. And I say this because I loved this apartment. I worked hard for this apartment. I fell in love with this apartment. And it loved me back for so long, and it held me and it carried me, and it's seen me through pretty much all my 20s, since I was 23 to now that I'm turning 30. And it's been the place I always thought was my foundation. And I always said I would never move out just because I got such a good deal on it. I would never move out until I was buying my own house. And somehow I'm nowhere close to buying my new house, my own house. And I need to go. And I guess that is the thing about closing chapters. Closing the chapter on not just the apartment, the city, for example. I love the city, but it doesn't work for me anymore. It doesn't fit me anymore. In fact, anytime I come back here, I'm just reminded of, I guess, too many things. Kind of embarrassing to say, but I'm embarrassed to walk down the street sometimes because I'm afraid to run into someone that I know who's like, what are you doing nowadays? And what am I doing nowadays? I have no idea. And it seems like I'm running away, which sometimes I still think, are you running away? But the apartment as well, for something that has held me and carried me for so long. How do I know when it's time to let go and move on from it? And it's strange when a part of you intrinsically knows that it's time, but you're not ready, and then the universe forces you to move. It just screams in your face, you gotta go. And that voice, which is the universe, is kind of mirroring your own voice, my own voice. My own voice has been saying for a year, get out of here. You've outgrown this place. And quite frankly, I feel like I became too small for the place and I almost couldn't afford it anymore. But, and I hated to hear it. And when the universe had to scream it to me. So much so, it didn't scream it in a gentle way, which was like, all right, here's what you're going to do. It was kind of like, if you don't get out now. And so, oh, that's my alarm. Oh, look at me, waking up before my alarm of my own accord. That's crazy. I'll be right back. So it's pretty tough for me it's not tough for me to accept. I have come to terms with it. And now it's just a matter of getting out of the place. Which is its own beast. I've moved around a lot in my life. And I'm constantly in awe of how my whole life fits in 4 suitcases. In fact, I've probably moved in my adult life since I was 21. I've moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. 5 times I've moved. And I'm constantly in awe, like, oh my God, my entire life fits in 4 suitcases. But then I thought it would be so easy to move out of this apartment. And I have stuff. I've accumulated things over the past 6 years. And things that mean a lot to me, which I'm still trying to figure out if I want to let go of. But I have things. I've built a life and I've built a home in this home that is no longer mine. And that reality check was, like, look what you managed to do in this place. I had an interesting conversation last night, and he was talking about change. This is a stranger, and I'm going to put an audio clip of what he said, which was with his consent, and I will put the consent disclaimer as well. Of what he said about change and, closing chapters or turning chapters. And it's got me thinking, if I just reframed how I'm looking at this change or this closing of a chapter, then I could see it as maybe the best thing that ever happened to me, because if it wasn't for the universe slapping me in the face, I would have kept doing what I was doing. But if it wasn't for this change, maybe I'd never have even thought to do this. And even if I had, would it be what I now feel or think that I should be doing? So here's the audio. This part, just want to make sure we're not going to show your face on this, but I have your consent to record you and put this on my
Absolutely.
video. Okay.
No qualms about that.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
So what do you think about closing chapters? Was that unnecessary?
It was necessary at the moment. I didn't realize how necessary it was until I hit the very end of that, because for the longest time I was like, all right, I've been here for 8 years working at the same place. It's done very well for me. I could see myself working here longer. But, after actually just a few months of being in the management position instead of the bartending part, which I loved, it was very different than what I'd originally thought my life was going to be like. And when it's a change like that, when you realize like this isn't serving me anymore, it can be very hard to do, because the stress is what was killing me in that case. The money was still good. I was still getting my bills paid. Everything was all right that way, but I was missing time with my wife, my friends. We had just bought a house and I was never in it. So at that point, I only could do it because I had the support of my spouse and a bunch of my friends telling me the stress is getting to you. You don't need to do this to yourself. And my wife saying, we will be okay if you need to take a month or two to find another job. That's when I sort of realized I don't have to deal with issues. I can close this chapter. I can move on to something else. Will it be exactly the same? Probably not. Will I have the same things? Hopefully close enough where I am ready to take a breath and actually, I can always make more money, but you cannot make more time. And that's really what it hit for me, because I forget where I've read it, but they say time is the coin that once you spend it, you never get back.
Right.
And that really started to resonate with me at a certain point. Especially as I realized my mental health was deteriorating with all the stress. And then